Good evening, everyone. Hello again. This is going to be an analysis of a very valuable professor. He is Hungarian, and his name is Peter Reves. I'm sorry if I make any mistakes in pronunciation, Hungarian, and also Greek, especially Old Greek. Today we're going to dive into the Sphinx statue, which was actually vanished, and the discussion if it has something to do with Old Turkish and the Scythian language, and of course together with Hungarian and Etruscan. That's what I'm going to focus on. Peter actually touched on the connection between it, but I'm going to focus more on the relativity that they had. So we are diving. There is a discussion of I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, Vinereanu, and he said something about that the Sphinx statue was fake, and it has been proven that it was not fake. I will touch on to that because there was a collectionist, somebody who took this Sphinx statue, he was a collectionist, and in 1848-49 it vanished. So it was stolen. So and later it turned out that it was not a fake statue, that it was authentical, it was original. So let's dive into the writings on it and the scriptures, what was written, because it has huge connections with the Turkic language as well, with the runic language that the Turks used, and also in Anatolia, the Etruscans and the Hungarians together. Anyway, let me look also at the vocabulary connection that it has with Turkish. So I'm skipping the origins of the things here, where Hungarian was spoken, etc. I definitely think that you all know this. Okay, what I want to focus on is the archaic Greek alphabet, the Old Hungarian language, the Finnish language, the Finno-Ugric language, and the Turkic language, actually Turkish, because this vocabulary has more to do with Turkish than with a Turkic vocabulary. So this gives me an idea that the effect of Turkish was from west to the east, and modern Turkish was formed further in Anatolia and the area of Anatolia than elsewhere. It could be also in the area of the Scythian, where the Scythian tribes were. So there it might have most probably gotten the last form of Turkish. That's what I think. So anyway, this is about the Greek lettered inscriptions and the decipherment of Peter. And by looking at the Sphinx statue, which was found in Hungary. Actually, it is a Roman town, but it used to be a part of Hungary before the World War One. And here we're going to dive into the inscriptions and how it was read. And I will show you the connection of how early Turkic was read and written. I don't want to keep it very long because the main thing is that I want to show you the connection and the similarities. So I think this is the true knowledge that I'm going to give. And the outcoming results that I want to give are the true facts that I want to show you. He actually says here, there couldn't have been ancient borrowings between Hungarian and Greek because there was no linguistic continuity in the area. Yes, he says that, but I would like to show you a map. He says that there are no linguistic connections, but I want to show you the connection that we have here. If you look at the map, and the word list is very, very important. Now, if you look at the map, actually we don't see all the Scythian land, because Scythian land it stretches all over the Central Asian area and parts of Russia here and the steppe. So if it had continued, it would have been here. But Peter only took this part. So the connection is, I'm going to tell you, the connection is the Turkic language here, which had the most probably the last formation about 2,000 years ago, before it became modern Turkish. So most probably the areas, Hungary here, Romania here, and Greek, the colonization of the Greek of the Hungarian and Roman cities here. The connection is the Turkic languages that were here, right, under the Scythians. So here we have the Scythians, the Turkic tribes, and here we have Hungarian and the Hungarian part of Scythia. So and here we have the colonization of the Greeks. So Old Greek, the bridge between Hungarian, Old Hungarian, and the Old Greek is the Old Turkish form. That means the Seljuks, the Gökturks, they spoke a Turkish language, the oldest form of today's Turkish, and the Gökturks and the Seljuks, they spoke the closest form of today's Turkish. So the connection is that the steppe Turkic tribes, the Gökturks, before the Gökturks, and most probably the Huns, they spoke a very close language to today's Turkish. I mean, yes, to Old Turkish. I mean, so the connection, the bridge to Old Greek is definitely Old Turkish. That's what I wanted to say. So here let's go forward again. The most interesting part is actually comparing the language and the vocabulary. So I'm going to skip some parts. He made very important points, Peter, and this is a very valuable paper. So I thank him endlessly because I want you to learn about this, whether you are listeners of Europe or Anatolia or elsewhere in the world. This is very important. So this proves that Turkish was already spoken before the Greeks arrived here in the mainlands of Anatolia, or a close language to today's Turkish, a similar language. But let me come to this further later. Okay, so we have here the inscriptions. What I want to tell you here is it says here, the Sphinx, with its Aegean connections, caught my eye as an artifact worth studying because it could reveal some information about the development of ancient scripts. So we can definitely count here the Anatolian language which was spoken those times, and it was definitely not related to Indo-European. Here, actually, there was a claim that the Sphinx with the two wings was fake. And then they found something else in an Austrian article in a magazine, and it showed the same inscriptions. So it was proven that this was not fake. The Sphinx was not fake. And the analysis of the writing, it says here somewhere Arslan. Arslan, yes, Arslan is a Turkish word. We have here the comparisons of the letters. I wish there was also the old Turkic runic form of it, because definitely the Turkish runes, they also contribute to this. But here Peter also touches on Etruscan, because this is a form later derived into Etruscan. So this means first there were the old runes, and after that it's turned into letters. That means Old Hungarian, Old Turkic letters, Scythian, and Etruscan. And all these contributed to Old Greek. You will see the similarity between Old Greek, Old Hungarian, especially Finnish, with Turkish. I will show you later. Okay, this is important. When I first read this, I compared it to Turkish, of course, because you will see the similarity of the Old Hungarian runic pronunciation, the Greek one, and the Turkish one. Now, I think there is no Greek here. This is only Hungarian, I'm sorry. So we have here Betek, Assoni Nak. which means lame woman. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong here. We have also samuli, which most probably stands for footstool, and it reminded me of sandalye, because sandalye means chair in Turkish. Another thing that I would like to mention is how Hungarian got influenced by German, Austrian, I mean. So there are lots of loan words from German into Hungarian. So most probably after the year 1000, after Hungary got influences from the Slavic languages and the Germanic people, the vocabulary and the language got very much influenced by the Germanic and the Slavic people. Yes, here it also states that especially after the 15th century, that's very interesting, because after the 15th century, it also happened in the Ottoman Empire that it was excluded from the Western world after the Ottomans took Istanbul. So you see the influences, the discrimination of the West towards the Ottoman Empire, and you see Hungarian influences after 1500. So that's a parallel time. It actually tries to explain here the effect of the scripture that was found there, but the explanation is not right. That's what I think, because it is closer to Turkish than to Greek. Here is my explanation. I'm sorry. Now, you see here that it says Arslan, right? Very clearly, Arslan, the Turkish word, or the Turkic word as well. We still use Arslan or Aslan in Turkish, and I definitely think that in Hungarian it is Oroszlán, and it was taken by the Persians into Pars. The word Arslan changed into the Persian. The Persians took it, and it became Pars, and the world called it Persia. I think the letter P was added as a prefix, and it became Pars or Persia or Persia. What I want to say here that Persia has the oldest, and Old Greek has the oldest Scythian words, the oldest Hungarian and Turkic words. That's what I want to say. So here, if we have a look, we see that it says here, Ima vimati it hieres Arslan. So this is written on the Sphinx. And when you compare it to the meaning, it says here, lo, behold, worship. Ima, they said, is something like worship. And it's very close to Iman. And hieres, they said, is here, no, holy, which is in Turkish very close to yüce. Why did I say yüce? Because the R and the S and the J, they fit here, very close to hieres, something like yüce. Another thing that I want to mention is here. Here is actually işte. It stands for işte. You see the similarity here between Turkish and these words. So this is actually a very old Turkic form, most probably from later Scythian period. They say that Scythians didn't leave a proof, but here we see that post-Scythian times, early, or let's say, yeah, maybe the post-Scythian area, which was in the Caucasus and towards the Black Sea region, in the steppe, and also parts of Central Asia, and also most probably West Asia, that's what I think, and also Greek, was very much affected by the original form of Scythian. So Scythian, Old Hungarian, Old Turkic, they affected the other areas in the region, that is West Asia and Greece. So most probably around here, the most dominant language of Scythian was spoken, and it affected the regions very, very much. I suppose because of the similarities they found between Turkish, Old Turkish and Old Hungarian, and also Old Finnish, and the influence that it had to Old Greek and Old Persian, most probably people, or maybe, I don't know, very, very, very sly people, they made the statue vanish. That's what I think, because they wanted to erase the proof that actually our language, both Proto-Hungarian and Proto-Turkish, that means Old Scythian, was actually serving the other languages in Europe. That's the proof that they wanted to erase this. So I can say that after reading this article, I realized that actually Europe is speaking a very spoiled form of Scythian, that is a mixture of Hungarian Turkic, or Old Hungarian Turkic, with a little bit of let's say derived vocabulary. I mean, it served the areas, the regions of West Asia, the Mediterranean, and also the Etruscans helped this effect. They were actually also the mediators of spreading the language to the Mediterranean. That's what I wanted to say. Yes, here we see the similarities between Carian and the other Bronze Age languages. I mean, here we have Hungary. We also have other, I'm not sure if it shows these letters here. These are the similarities of the old seals. Most probably, they were very much affected by Etruscan, because Etruscan helped serving the old Greek alphabet. So we can say that Etruscan was the bridge, was the mediator between Scythian and Old Greek, and of course West Asia. Here it goes on. So I can say then, it says here, mysterious Proto-Hungarian inscription found in Croatia. Actually, Croatia has the original form of the Turkic vocabulary. We can see it here. And here, this part is very important, because here somewhere it gives you the word Arslan. So this was found in Croatia. And it is actually, okay, here. No, not Arslan, I'm sorry. This was the first word here that we have. It shows Scythian art, and if Croatia has Scythian art, it means also that Croatia contributed to Scythians. So we see it in in Western Eurasia. That's what I wanted to say. So, very important thing here that I want to show you is, look at the left side. It says here, Üsten, which means God. It is not Isten or like that. It is pronounced Üsten. So Üsten, which means God, in the inscription, is nothing else than Turkish, because in Turkish we have something like üst, üste, and it means above, the one above, which means God. I don't know what the other things mean, but they sound very much Turkish, old Turkish, like küs, for example, or hüye nekü, which very, very much resembles old Turkish. So these are the Vukovar inscriptions. So in Croatia, yes, I don't know about the pronunciations here. They might be slightly different, I'm not sure, because they also found out, Peter found out that some of the inscriptions were actually pronounced in the false form, in the false way, and they corrected it. That's what I know. And he mentioned this in the video on YouTube. I'm also going to post the video to YouTube. I'm not sure about Carian, but I think Carian was spoken and written in Anatolia. So I very much think that Anatolian languages consisted of the proto-form of today's Turkish, slightly different, partly taken from the old Anatolian languages together with the other languages. I mean, not languages, but parts from the language spoken by the old Anatolian people, and it formed a mixture of today's Turkish. So when the Turks arrived to Anatolia, I most probably think that they did not, in fact, speak a very, very different language that was spoken in Anatolia at that time. It might have been a bit different, but it was not totally different. That's what I think. There might have been slight changes in the structure, but I'm sure that most people were able to understand each other regarding, let's say, old, let's say, Persians or old Greeks. When the Seljuks arrived here, I don't think it was much of a very, very distinct language or very, very different language. That's what I think, because in root, there has been a common ancestor, and you see it from the vocabulary that we have in the Turkic languages and in the Old Hungarian languages and in Old Persian and in Old Greek. So you have it now in today's Turkish. And I don't think in 2000 years very, very much had changed between the language families. I mean, they claim to speak now Indo-European, but as I said, according to this research, this proves that Old Hungarian, which is an Altaic language, and Old Turkish, which is also an Altaic language, also the Finnish language, which is an Ugric language, all these contributed to the Anatolian languages. And Anatolian languages, they claim to be Indo-European, which is not right, which is not true. The today so-called Indo-European languages, they have their stems, they have their roots in the Finno-Ugric Altaic languages. We will see now certain pictures here. Okay, it says here Benku or Benku, a Hungarian surname. We have Bengi, Bengu in Turkish as well. It's a very old Turkish name. Females use it generally. Another thing is that the original form of this scripture, of the scriptures that were told here, and also the Sphinx, statue, they had their scriptures, of course, from right to left, which is the original form. So from right to left was the Old Turkish. The Old Turks, they wrote from right to left. It's also in Old Hungarian from right to left. Etruscan was right to left. Somewhere, the Greeks, the old Greeks, they changed it from left to right. So there it became certain changes. A very interesting thing here. Here we have the middle of a bronze seal, very important, and the typical Hungarian bread. You see the similarity? Again, here we have an image of a bone scripture. Again, we have a mirrored image here. And then we have an inscription, Hungarian, it says here. So some claim it to be Turkic, and it reads Ürünk le rassat, and the other is metükt. Now, if I look at Ürünk, and it reminds me of the Sumerian city Uruk. And here it says Urunk, our Lord. I definitely think there is a connection between the word Uruk, Urunk, and our Lord. So definitely Sumerian, because Sumerian has also Old Hungarian vocabulary. That's what I know. And it also has some Turkic vocabulary in it, especially Chuvash. So most probably it was brought to the region, to the Fertile Crescent, by Ural-Altaic groups. And they most probably named the city Uruk, which maybe meant our Lord or something like that. So definitely Uruk, they were original Ural-Altaic cities named after their lords, most probably. Okay, if you look at metükt, me means many. So attack, most probably tükt, which can mean maybe something in Old Turkic. Here it says something about Greek-Hungarian word similarities. I definitely think that the Etruscans contributed to that, and also the old Turkic languages. They also contributed to the bridge. I mean, Scythians who spoke Turkish, who spoke the oldest form of Turkish. They contributed to this bridge, because Greeks, they had colonies, as we said, in the Black Sea and around the Black Sea. And I also think that Greeks went to India. They sailed, most probably, and they went to Egypt, the Mediterranean, etc. And this is how the first colonies started. So colonization might first start with the Greeks, the old Greeks. And this is why their language is so similar to, I mean, they have many words from Persian, from Indian, from Scythian, etc. And from Hungarian, most probably, because here it talks also about the Hungarian similarities. So why Hungarian? Because Scythian was both Turkic and Hungarian. And we see now, if you hear a person talking Greek, you see the effect. It's not about the Ottomans. It has nothing to do with the Ottomans. It has to do with the Scythian language. The Ottomans, they came later. Yes, maybe there was a slight effect from the Ottoman Turkish, but the old Scythians, who spoke the most original form of a Uralic Altaic Turkish Hungarian version, they must have affected the old Greek, especially in that area, also West Asia. That's what I think. So the effect goes back to at least 3,000 years. If you go back to the Scythians, BC, let's say 1000 BC, Greek and West Asia, they soaked the old Hungarian, let's say the old Uralic Altaic languages, they soaked them up. Now looking at Kenir or Kenir, it sounds very much a Turkish word, but they say here it is, the meaning of it is bread. So very much Turkish-like, very much Turkic word, like peynir, kenir, etc. Yes, it sounds very much Turkish. So we see here the Hungarian word keto, which means two. If you look at the Turkish, we have iki. So k and t, and the vowels here with u and ö. So something like kete or iki, very, very similar. And then it goes on with ket, something like iki. So maybe it had a very much influence from k, like that, in the original form maybe. Now, what I want to touch on is, if you look at pre-Greek, I wish I could read Greek here, but let's have a look at Hungarian and the similarity of Ugric, Proto-Ugric, and Turkic. Now, have a look. A withy tree, which means ag in Hungarian, and in Ugric, ang most probably. In Turkish, it is ağaç, right? You see here ang and ag, right? And here we have ang. And in Proto-Greek, it is, I wish I could read it right, I was, or for something like that. So it's very similar to Turkish, ağaç, we say. The same thing goes for door. We don't have it in this way, but when we say açtı, for example, it means to be opened, open, aç, something like that. So the most important part is this part where it compares the words. So here we have, for example, thin. I will mostly focus on the Hungarian and the Turkic and the Finno-Ugric form here. And I'm sure it affected Greek as well, Old Greek, or pre-Greek, because pre-Greek is not Greek. They took it from the Altaic languages. So thin is here keshed, which is very similar to ince. When we have a look, most probably it was with in Turkish, in Old Turkish, like ince, maybe something like that, or ışe, and then it turned to ince. Because here we have the j here. In Proto-Ugric, it's kanj, most probably, and ince is not that far away. I'm sure that Old Turkic form of ince was slightly different. So when we have I'm looking for the similar words. That's why. Yes, when we have a look at cut and divide, eradicate, in Hungarian it is ara. In Turkish, when we say ara, it means to divide. Aralamak, for example, kapıyı aralamak. It is a common word. It is a common word. Definitely a common origin. So we have here hal, hallo for die, etc. We say öl in Turkish. So all is not very far away. It's the same stem. It's the same stem. And most probably Old Greek or pre-Greek took from Hungarian and Old Turkish. So they have a common ancestor here. You see here. I forgot the Proto-Ugric, by the way. I'm sorry. We have wait a minute. For die we have kolla, for example. Kolla. So in Turkish the K dropped most probably, and it became ol or öl. Very similar. You see here how the roots come together between Ural and Altaic. How can you divide the languages? They served the Indo-European languages. You see the proof here that our language formed the Indo-European languages. The vocabulary it stems from the Ural-Altaic language family. So, mother, very important. Now it is earth goddess, Anya in Hungarian, Anna in Finnish, or in Ugric, in Proto-Ugric. So if it is Proto-Ugric, we call it Anna in Turkish. It is still Anna in Turkish and Anne in a very formal way. So how can you claim that Proto-Ugric or Ugric is a different language family? It is definitely the same. I mean, Ugric, the Ugric languages, the Proto-Ugric or whatever you call it, the Ural-Altaic languages and the proto-languages of that lands, they are definitely together. Very, very interesting. Woman means Nina in Ugric. So we have Nene or Nine, which means grandmother in Turkish. Definitely a connection. Here you see how the West and how some scholars want to deliberately exclude the Ural-Altaic, the Altaic languages from the Ugric languages or from the Ural languages. And even the Proto-Indo-European languages they claim, they are connected to the Proto-Ural-Altaic languages. So once they were connected before they split. If you call them languages, I mean the Indo-European languages. I explained it before that I strongly think that the ancestor of the Indo-European languages, they lie in definitely the Siberian languages, which are very strongly Ural-Altaic, and the Ugric languages, or whatever you call them, definitely have a connection to the Ural-Altaic languages, the ancient ones. And from there, they had a very strong effect from Southern Asia. So Southern Asia most probably contributed to Sumerian, and Sumerian had an effect on the vocabulary of Persian languages, South Asian languages, and Sumerian most probably got affected by it too because of the region. But the origin of it came from the Ural Altais, and the Anatolian languages, the Western Asian languages, and then the Greek language, etc., and Etruscan had the same logic: subject, object, verb, and it was an agglutinative language. So definitely the connection was like this. So I want to stick to the topic. Okay, now very important word here. We have in Hungarian, which means man. Okay, in Turkish means soldier. Also, it means man. So irka is in Ugric. So irka. Then we have erkek in Turkish. So you see the similarity here. I really get angry. Because I know the language. I know Turkish. I know now the close connection between Ugric and Ural and Altaic languages, and I can compare them with English, with German, and I can see the effect, and I can see how it was affected from each other. So how can you divide the languages? How can you discriminate among the languages like this? There is a common ancestor. They're looking for the ancestor, and they're calling him different names, several names, 1,000 names. So you see how the Ugric languages, the Finnic languages, or whatever you call it, the Ural Altaic languages, they served to the Indo-European languages like this. If you call the Indo-European languages Greek or Old Persian, whatever. Okay, we have here fire. Fire is tüz in Hungarian. We have köz, or ateş in Turkish. Okay, for two, we have katket, iki. Okay, kakta, very close to iki. I actually get very happy when I see the similarity. I don't care if others agree with me or not. The most important thing is to see the similarity between the languages and how they are related, and how the Ugric languages and the Turkic languages, the Uralic languages, to see how these languages were related. I see my ancestry here. That's the most important thing. And I see how these people were once related before they mixed and warred and discriminated each other. By the way, I didn't look at the pre-Greek. But it says here the pre-Greek meaning, which fits Turkish as well. So if it fits the meaning of Greek, I'm sure that it has very many similarities between Turkish as well. I only wish I could read it. Okay, now have a look. In Greek, in Old Greek or in pre-Greek, it means numbness from cold. But in Hungarian, it is quite the opposite. It is warm. And we also have the same meaning, which is ılık. Now, ılık and meleg, or ılık, meleg, it quite rhymes. It is very similar. I definitely think that there was a kind of, what do they call it? I don't know how they call it in the language. There was a shift from warm to cold into Greek, from Scythian. That's what I think. And I also don't know who preserved the original form of this word. Was it Greek or was it Old Turkish? I think we have the original one. Ilık or meleg in Hungarian. Let me see what it is in Proto-Ugric or Finno-Ugric. Wait a minute. It is malı. Malı. There is something like ıl here. Yeah, okay, good. Now have a look. I don't know about the Hungarian one, but it is mereg, merges, poison, anger, angry. And it is in Finno-Ugric mırk, something like öfke. We have the k here. Now, very important, the meaning tail is mese in Hungarian, and it is manse in the Finno-Ugric languages. So it is masal in Turkish. You see the similarity. How can you claim that Turkish is different? How can you claim that Turkish is from a different family? Or how can you separate the Finno-Ugric language, the Uralic languages, from the Altaic? Or let's say, how can you separate the Indo-European languages as if they were the most superior family trees, by suppressing and discriminating the other family trees? I mean, this is sheer discrimination. How can you superiorate the Indo-European family tree and disregard the other family trees as if they meant nothing, as if they didn't contribute to the world languages? Here you see it. The huge effect that Hungarian had on, I mean, I don't think we took it from Old Greek. I think it was already, the vocabulary was already an Anatolian language vocabulary, an old Anatolian language, and I think it was here. It inhabited the region for thousands of years before it was borrowed to the neighboring regions. Most probably, the names that you call, the so many names that you call for the Anatolian settlers and the inhabitants, etc., etc., they most probably had those words and had that vocabulary. And now we use it. And you use it. Okay, we have here nose, or, wait a minute, there was something like that here. If you have a look here, we have the word or orom, which means nose and mountain. Now, if you have a look at orom and the Turkish burun, it is definitely the same word stem. So orom, burun, which means nose. Yes. Okay, the same thing goes for feyer or feni, feyer or fejer. I think it's feyer, and we call it fener. In Hungarian, it is light. There are several other words, but I will take the most important ones. Here we have, for example, ter or terem, which means space, room, square. In Turkish, we have yer, ter, yer, for space. Very interesting. I would like to catch the attention to one word here. I mostly want to focus on Hungarian and Turkish, because here we have törpül, which means to shrink. In Turkish, we have a word that is called törpülemek, törpü, which means when you, it's not exactly shrink, but you take something and you make it smaller, or you form something into another thing. Oh, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. I think the closer meaning is to the meaning of Old Greek, which is to cause to curdle, because törpülemek is more closer to the meaning of to cause to curdle. But I wish I could read that in Old Greek. Aha, okay, feather, which means tall. In Hungarian, it is tű, and it is tulka. You see the similarity. So tű, tulka, tall, the same. So tű is in Turkish, and then we have a serving dish like tal. We have it now, tabak. Okay, it's at least one syllable fits it. And then we have hill, for example, domb. We say tümsek, burial mound, tümsek in Turkish. Or we say also tombalak, which means when you are a little bit fat. Another word. But here I think it affected mostly German here. There might be let's say, for example, a swallow bird, here the Hungarian word, and when you look at feske or something like that, it's very close to falke in German. So falke, feske, very, I mean, they took it from each other. So some words I heard that German took from Chuvash. So definitely the Germans took words from Hungarian as well, because before the First World War, Germany was a neighbor with Russia. So they must have taken many loan words from Russian and Hungarian. And later, of course, they mixed with the Hungarians because they wanted to do so. That's what's stated in Gesta Hungarorum. So definitely German was formed with Russian and Hungarian mixed. So otherwise, I don't think German would have a rich language, because you see, if you look at the vocabulary of German, it doesn't make any sense. It has so many confusing verb stems. It's dividing words I mean, it's dividing the vocabulary, but actually it is always present perfect or past perfect, because it has the word stem at the end. But normally it is a subject verb object language, or it should be a subject verb object language. So you see here how the effect of, or maybe we can see that German has the oldest version of the fusion of subject object verb into subject verb object here. Very interesting thing. Something caught my attention. It says here, behind means something like farkas. So in Turkish we have arkasında, arka. So the F dropped, or maybe Hungarian put an F, I don't know. Or maybe we dropped the F. So there is a common origin, which is arka, arkasında, arka, right? So the R, which is completely different in the Finno-Ugric language. We have pur or purs, or maybe purs. Yeah, slightly close. Okay. Yes, very interesting. Very interesting. I love it. I loved it. So every time I find something common with Hungarian, it makes me so happy. And I definitely must say, Europe would be nothing without Hungarian. You understand what I mean? The Hungarians, the Russians contributed to all the Indo-European languages there. So the Indo-European languages, they owe their language tree to the Turks, they owe it to the Russians, and they owe it to the Hungarians. That's what I can say. Because the Greeks took it from us, the Persians took it from us, and they formed their regions. And I can also say that maybe South Asia, which I didn't include now, also contributed to the languages in the Middle East. And in the Fertile Crescent, it became a fusion of the Finno-Ugric, Ural-Altaic languages, and also from the effect of South Asia and the vocabulary of South Asia. It got affected. And most probably they also had some prefixes taken there, and it mixed there. So they got their prefixes in those areas, and most probably that's how languages were formed later. But most importantly, that's what I think. It was in Europe. It was from the north. It was Russian, having contributed to German, the languages, Germanic, etc., and Polish languages, blah blah blah. So from the east, it was Hungarian, which affected all the area, all Europe. Also from the west, I think it was the Scythians, also the Turkic groups that spread into West Asia and to the Greek islands, and vice versa, because Greece, Old Greek and Old Greece, they had their colonies, all over Scythia. So definitely there was a word contact, language. They most probably understood each other, because it was not much different. I mean, when you have a listen to Greek now, if you have a look, if you listen to today's Persian or Indian or Arabic, or yes, those languages, and of course Turkish. There are many similarities. With what considers the vocabulary, I mean, not the structure, but the vocabulary. But from the structure, of course, subject, object, verb was the most dominant one. Yes, we also have here smoke, which is füst here. We have is in Turkish, and I think it is pis in the Ugric form. I once watched a documentary about Iceland, and the speaker said that Iceland came from the word ice. I mean, Iceland meaning fog, something like that. So it came from the word is. That's why we call it Iceland. But normally it is Island, pronounced Island. Is the word stemming from is, which means smoke or fog. Very interesting. To tie or knit means köt or köteni. In Turkish we have I mean, again, the K dropped, or maybe Hungarian put a K in front of it. Örmek, we say So here it gives the sound changes, etc. And it says, one of the interesting regular sound changes on table 14 is from Proto-Finno-Ugric to Hungarian, etc. And once it said that the closest language to Hungarian was Mansi and Hanti, but I must say that the closest language to Hungarian is Turkish. It is the Turkic languages. It is the Chuvash language, the Western Turkic languages, Old Bulgarian and Old Chuvash, and also it has more similarities to Altaic Turkish than to Finno-Ugric languages. It is again a deliberate alienation from the original families. I don't agree with the explanation here, because this man doesn't know Turkish. If he knew Turkish, he would have analyzed it in a different way. He would have analyzed it that both the Finno-Ugric erkek, I mean the Finno-Ugric irka and the Hungarian have the same in Turkish now. That means that Turkish and the Turkic languages, they served also the Finno-Ugric languages and the Hungarian language. So either I would claim that Turkish is not only an Altaic language, it is also a Finno-Ugric language and an Altaic language, or I must say that the Finno-Ugric languages and Hungarian was very much affected by the Altaic languages. But I strongly think that ancient Turks, archaic Turks, they were everywhere. They were hunter-gatherers, they were semi-nomads, they were nomads, and they were in the areas even even from Scandinavia, Finland, the Urals, to the Altais, and they spoke a similar language all over Siberia, especially in the Altai, where most probably they came together with the Hungarians and the ancestors of the Hungarians, and then they split. I mean, Turks went everywhere. Hungarians especially went towards Eastern Europe, and there they spread. So thank you, Hungary, for spreading your roots all over Europe, especially regarding ancestry and also regarding language. Actually, German is a mixture of, what I say, old Turkic vocabulary, Russian, and a little bit of their native vocabulary. That's what I think. That's what you call Germanic, actually. Germanic is a mixture, I think, of most probably of the area of Central European vocabulary. Most of it is Hungarian, Russian derivated. And they didn't know how to adapt it. That's why there are so many exceptions. Also in English, they didn't know how to adapt the languages, so there are so many exceptions in those languages. So I don't know Greek, I don't know Persian, but I think those languages are more rooted than the Central and Western European languages. That's what I think. I drifted away from the topic, so turning back to the Sphinx, here it talks about the origins of the Sphinx and how it came to the Aegean. So here we have it. If you have a look at the map, you see that Greeks, they had their colonies all over the place. And now we have come back to the map I showed you at the very beginning. So what I want to tell you here is that Greek was very much influenced by the languages surrounded, and it contributed to their language. So Greek is definitely not a language that it claims to be that old. Yes, sure, it has taken from Hungarian, it has taken from Scythian, from Turkish, from Persian. If you have a look here, I think there was the Anatolian languages, Persia as well, Scythia, and every region was able to understand each other. It was not that different. Yeah, maybe the vocabulary was slightly different, but they were able to understand each other. And also, if you have a look at the Hungarian here, and Greek is not that much actually different, but later it split. Later it split. Okay, I want to read you the conclusion. It says here, the interdisciplinary study of archaeology, archaeogenetics, epigraphy, history, and linguistics can bring us a more realistic view of the processes of cultural development in various regions of the world. A deeper understanding of these processes can make us all better understand, it can make us better human beings. Keeping that goal in mind, any individual specialty or researcher will gladly revise any earlier theory that is shown to be outdated. It is such a nice conclusion that he wrote. It is so beautiful. I mean, And here is the references. So a very valuable paper, which was written by, I will mention again, by Peter Z. Reves. I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong, and if I made any pronunciation mistakes. I wish I had known how to pronounce the Greek version of it, but I'm sure it was quite similar to it, and Persian as well. So shortly, I would like to summarize my own ideas and views. Scythia, the land which was shared, and the culture which was originally shared by the Proto-Turks and the Proto-Hungarians. They served to a common culture in West Asia, in East Europe, and then it spread all over Europe. It also contributed to the language, to the formation of German, by the help of course, Russian, etc. I also want to say that the Scythians, the Turkish, the Turks in the region, together with the Hungarians and Etruscans, they were one people. Most probably, the Etruscans were a kind of bridge to the post-runic Greek alphabet, and they introduced the early form of the Greek alphabet to the Greeks and also to the Italians. So when we say Etruscan, it is definitely there is definitely a connection to the Mediterranean world from the Ural-Altaic world. You see what I mean? So we cannot leave them out. And also, there was a certain effect of Anatolia as well. The Anatolian languages, they definitely had the same word formation as Altaic languages, with a mixture of suffixes and, with a mixture of prefixes at the beginning of the word, but mostly shaped of Turkic words. That's for sure. Yes, and actually Anatolia was very much under the effect of Persia and of Greece, and of Old Persia and of Old Greece. So actually our ancestors, they live here. We were not the ones who came later. Because you see it in the vocabulary that that Greek has, that Old Greek has. You see it in the vocabulary that Old Persian has, and we didn't take it from them. It was always here in Anatolia. And most probably there were common words used. There were Turkic words used from the Ural-Altais that the Etruscans used. So the Etruscans were actually maybe the first people who used the written form of the Turkic vocabulary, who brought it to Anatolia. Yes, most probably. I mean, to the region. But before that, we know the Sumerians. The Sumerians, I think they were also a branch of an Altaic speaking people who went further down to the Fertile Crescent and slightly got influenced by the vocabulary and the culture of the Indus Valley. So, but they were also Proto-Turkic, Proto-Turks in the region, but only a different branch. Yes, because they mixed more with the Indus Valley civilization, so they were under the effect of their language, and but if you consider their culture, it was first a branch from the Altaic culture, a Siberian culture, which came down into the Indus Valley, most probably, and from there to the Fertile Crescent. Yes, I mean, I also don't think that they settled there. Most probably they were wandering around. They were in contact. They were semi-nomads, like the Turks, and they definitely have more in common with us than we do with the Arabs. Yes, but later, of course, the Akkadians and the Assyrians, they copied and they took from them, and they assimilated them very cleverly, as the European cultures do, as the Indo-European countries do, or the Western countries do with Hungary, and as the Arab countries do with Turkey. Yes, I wanted to share this with you, and I wanted to give you a thought on that. There are enough proofs that the original form of Hungarian, Turkish, was more of Western origin, having come from the Ural Altais, Siberia, especially from the Altai region, but having spread all over the globe, especially Europe and Asia. That's what I wanted to say. Good night.